Okay, gentlemen, we've arrived. Okay, so I'm all pumped because we have our new microphone here, and because we do have Daf Yomi going on at the other end of the synagogue. So now I have a special microphone that you will be able to hear me when you look at the videos, Im Yirtzeh Hashem, clearly, Im Yirtzeh Hashem. So I'm all excited. Okay, so first of all, we have to say what I've been told to say. That I hope I'm not boring you. I'll say very quickly that we're only doing this. We are not learning this high holy material. We are not doing this in order to fly in Shemaim or feel good about ourselves or have a big ego or etc. 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 We only have permission to learn these very high inyanim that the Baal Shem Tov gave us over in the name of the Arizal and all the other big tzaddikim, only because this is a way that the Baal Shem Tov said that we could connect in the highest way to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we do it to enhance our davening and our learning and our mitzvahs. And that's the only reason why we have permission to learn this high material. Okay, gentlemen. Tonight is a very big night. Does anybody know the significance of tonight? Oh, what did you say? He said Lubavitcher Rebbe. Okay, we're getting. What did you say?
There's two things that I understood. One is when the Alter Rebbe was released from prison.
Good. That you got one of them.
The other one, I think it was the Yurtzeit of the Megillah Masjid.
Oh, he got both of them. It is well. No, not the Yurt side of the Alter Rebbe, but right. Okay, so very good. Lauren, you got both. Right, so I'm going to repeat clearly, and I just want to listen. This is really, truly a shir in Sifsei Chein, and that's what we have to be learning. But on such a night, we have to speak a little bit about what tonight is. So tonight in the Hebrew calendar is, anyone know? It's Yud Tes Kislev, otherwise known as Yat Kislev. So what is the significance of that date? So as Lauren just said, there are two massive things that happened on this day. The first thing is that it is the Yortzeit of the Reb Rebber. Okay, the Reb Rebber is also known as the Mizritcher Magid, as Lauren said. What is the significance of that? So, Bekitzer, when the Baal Shem Tov passed away, the Hasidus moved to the leadership of his son. He had one son, Rav Tzvi Hersh, who was considered a very, very quiet tzaddik, not like his father, not outgoing, charismatic, very quiet. And anyway, so he feared the Hasidus for a year. He ran the Hasidus for a year. Ran is not the best word. He led for a year, and then after that, the Baal Shem Tov came to him in a dream, and he said, on my Yurtzeit, you will stand up from my chair. He was sitting in the Baal Shem Tov's chair. You will take off my bekesha, or his kaftan, and you will put it on the Reb Rebber and sit him in my seat. And that's exactly what happened. It shows you the anivis, the modesty of the Reb Tzvi. He didn't have to tell anyone about that dream. But he, in the middle of the Yortzeit Suda by his father, he stood up and he called over the Reb Rebber, who was considered from the Baal Shem Tov's greatest students. And that's what he did. He took off the Baal Shem Tov's kaftan and put it on the Reb Rebber, and he removed himself from the Baal Shem Tov's seat, and he sat down the Reb Rebber in the Baal Shem Tov's seat. And that was the beginning of the leadership of the Reb Rebber. The significance, we could spend days talking about it, but to make a long story short, the Baal Shem Tov started the Hasidic movement, but it was understood from the Baal Shem Tov on one Rosh Hashanah. He went up to Shemayim in his mind, so to say, to the room of the Mashiach, and he asked the Mashiach, when you're coming, he said, when your well springs spread out. So it was understood that what the Baal Shem Tov needs to do is to take the great teachings, his great teachings, which are all based on the Arizal, and spread it to Klal Yisrael, to the Jewish people. The Baal Shem Tov had many, many Talmidim, but the project of the Reb Rabber and the godless of the Reb Rabber was he was extremely organized, and he was very, very good at raising Talmidim and then sending those Talmidim out to other cities to spread the Chassidus, to try to target the greatest Talmidei Chachamim, greatest Tzaddikim, to bring them into the Hasidic fold, and also to spread amongst the common people the Chassidische Torah and the Chassidische Svarim and all that Chassidus was all about. So the Rebbe Rabbeir was extremely organized and was very, very good at accomplishing this mission. And all the great Chassidish Rebbes that we have, the old Rebbes, they are basically all Talmidim of the Rebbe Rabbeir, or otherwise known as the Mizrachi Maggid. I'm going to say quickly one, just under so that you can appreciate who the Mizrachi Maggid was. I'm going to say one very quick story, and I'll tell you one little Dvar Torah. The bicycle is like this, that it was known that when the Baal Shem Tov feared Tish, right, when he was sitting by his table and the Talmidim were around, let's say on Shabbos, and they brought him water to wash, so he would wash, and he would have in mind the kavanas of the Arizal. The Arizal has kavanas for all the mitzvahs, right? Special Kabbalistic intentions for all the mitzvahs. So when the Baal Shem Tov would wash, he would wash with the kavanas of the Arizal, and they say that whoever was sitting at the table would fall asleep. That's what would happen. Everyone sitting there would fall asleep for momentarily, and then when the Baal Shem Tov made the bracha Hamoitzi Lach Min Haaretz, everybody woke up. That's what it says. There was one person that was there for the first time, and he wanted to see this in action. So he was making sure that he would not fall asleep, and sure enough, they brought water to the Baal Shem Tov. He started washing, and he made bracha al netilas yadayim with the kavanas of the Arizal, and everyone fell asleep, including him. When he was sleeping, he had a dream, and the dream was that he was in a certain city, and everybody's running. All the Yidden are running in one direction. So he says, "Where's everyone running?" So he said, don't you know that the Arizal is now saying Shir? The Arizal is saying Shir. So we're running. So everybody's running to Beis Medrash. So he figures, okay. So he runs along. He comes into the Beis Medrash, and the Arizal is giving Shir. And the Arizal is giving Shir on the Kavanas of Netilas Yadayim. And he's giving Shir, and the Baal Shem Tov is there in the crowd, and the Rebbe Rabbeir, the Mizrachi Maggid, is also there in the crowd. And the Baal Shem Tov asks the Arizal, and he says, when the Arizal is saying that these are kavanas, don't you mean like this, this, and this, and this? And then the Rebbe Rabbeir, the Mizrachi Maggid, said, no. I disagree. I don't think you mean like this, like my Rebbe is saying. I think you mean it should be like this. And so there was a machloikas going on between the Baal Shem Tov and his Talmud, the Mizrachi Maggid, as to the proper way to understand the kavanas of the Arizal for Netilas Yadayim. So they both said their thing, and the Arizal said, the Baal Shem Tov is correct. That is what I meant. And then all of a sudden, the Baal Shem Tov, now let's get back down to reality. The Baal Shem Tov says the bracha Hamoitzi Lach Min Haaretz, everybody wakes up. And it's very interesting that the Rebbe Rabbeir was a devoted Talmud to the Baal Shem Tov, but he didn't take everything at face value. And if he felt that maybe his Rebbe was incorrect, he would ask. And it was very interesting. And we have many instances where the Rebbe Rabbeir challenged, so to say, the Baal Shem Tov with Derech Eretz, but he challenged him. So everybody woke up, and the Rebbe Rabbeir says to the Baal Shem Tov, he said to him, I know that the Rebbe understands the kavanas of the Arizal by Al-Natilas Daim in this way, but I don't think, with all derech eretz, I don't think that that's the proper way. I think it's this way. And so what was happening in reality was exactly what this person had just dreamed. And the Baal Shem Tov looked at the Rebbe Reber and he said, I know for a fact that I have it right, and if you don't believe me, ask him. And he pointed to the person that had the dream, because he heard it himself from the Arizal. And that was that Maisa. So it just gives you an idea of what these people were like. I'll tell you a very quick Dvar Torah from the Rebbe Reber. It says, Bereshis bar Elikim es hashamayim ve'es ha'aretz. Who can translate the word es? Can anyone say what is, right? Let's say it in English. In the beginning, or if Rashi says in the beginning of creation, well, however you want to say it. But in the beginning, Hashem created Hashemayim, the heavens, and the earth. That's haaretz, right? So S. So what's the translation of S? Anyone know? So a lot of people say the, but it's not true, because you could say the pasuk Bereshis bar Elikim Shemayim v'aretz, or Hashemayim v'ha'aretz. So what's S exactly? What is S? So there isn't really a proper translation for the word S. So the Rebbe Reber says the notion from the Arizal that the way that the world was created was, the first thing before any creation is Hashem created the Aleph base, Aleph to Taf. And once he created the Aleph base, he took the letters of the Aleph base. For instance, let's say Aretz, the land. So he took an Aleph, he took a Reish, and he took an end tzaddik, or a final tzaddik, and he spelt out Aretz, and then the world came into being. So says the Rebbe Ber, the Mr. Magid, Bereshis bar Elikim, not S. Now in the Torah there's no Nekudas. There's no Nekudas in the Torah, so you have permission to put any Nekudas you want there, because in the Torah there's no Nekudas. We have Masorah, but there's no Nekudas. So that says the Rebbe Ber, Bereshis bar Elikim, not S, Ois. In the beginning Hashem created a letter. He created the letters, and then Es HaShemayim, through those letters Hashem created Shemayim v'aretz, the heavens and the earth. Also, the word S is Aleph to Taf. It's another meaning. So Bereshis bar Elikim, Aleph to Taf, which is Oisius, and from there Hashem created Shemayim v'aretz. Okay. The second great event that happened on this day is, as both of you said, that the Heilige Baal Tanya got out of prison. Baal Tanya was the very first, in Chabad they refer to him as the Alter Rebbe, and the Alter Rebbe was, as a matter of fact, every single Chabad Rebbe sat in Russian prison, every single one of them. And to make a long story short, the Masorah in Chabad is that the Alter Rebbe, or the Baal Tanya, when he wrote his Tanya, it was going to make such a revolution in the world, which it did, that the Samech Mem, the forces of evil, tried as much as possible to try to destroy this before it even started. And that's why the Baal Tanya said that he went to prison for 53 days, because in Tanya there are 53 chapters. And in the end, what can I tell you? The only thing I can tell you is that there's no question that the most learned Hasidic Sefer, period, is the Sefer Tanya, for two reasons. Number one, because in Chabad you must learn it every day. It's part of what the last Rebbe set up, a regiment. And not only that, but a lot of other people are learning Tanya, even modern Orthodox people, even people from other Chassidisim. Satmar liked the Tanya so much. Satmar and Chabad didn't always see eye to eye. Satmar went and printed their own Tanya. Okay, no one did that. Chabad has millions of Tanyas. There's no reason to print your own. Satmar printed their own Tanya because they valued the Tanya so much, even though they don't see eye to eye so much with Chabad. Anyway, In Chabad they have a Masorah. This was really a battle between good and evil, and we see today that the foundation of Chabad is the Sefer Tanya, and everything that they do, all the great things that Chabad does, the whole foundation of this is the Sefer Tanya. So it's a very, very big, and in Chabad they call this Rosh Hashanah LeChasidus, is tonight, and they have a Masorah that if you go to a Suda tonight, I'm not sure if you have to wash, you don't have to wash, but basically if you're part of a Fabrengen or a Suda tonight, that all great things will happen to the person, and even the Baal HaTanya himself will, if Chas v'Shalom a person has to go to Gehenna, the Baal HaTanya will take you out. Very similar to the Masorah that we have in Breslov as well. Okay, without further ado, we will begin learning Sifsei Chein. So, we are on page Kuf, Samech, Daled. All right. So I'm going to start from the top. The Elu Hadalad Oisius Havaya Hameirim Be'Ester Spheres Be'Oifen Hamavur Le'el Nikroim Gam B'Shem. Okay, now he's going to tell you something very interesting here. He's going to tell you that another code word for the 4 letters of the Shem Havaya. And these are there's Yud K Vav K, and Yud K Vav K are going to have code words in Aramaic or Aramish. So Yud is going to be referred to as Abba, which means father. The first Hey is going to be referred to as Ima, which means mother. The Vav is going to be referred to as Bara, which means son. And the final Hey is going to be referred to as Barta, which means daughter. Al Zeha Oifen, in the following way: Aleph, Ois Yud. The Ois Yud, she's Sviras Chachma. Now we said already that Ois Yud is connected to Svir of Chachma. We've said that in the past. Ois Yud is Nikra Abba. It is called Abba. This is a nickname for the Ois Yud called Abba. This is all Kisvei Arizal that he's talking now. In the Gemara Megillah of Bechachma. This is very interesting. The Gemara Megillah refers to Moshe Rabbeinu as the of Chachma, the father of wisdom. Okay, and many times in Chazal, it's very interesting. You could say the king of wisdom, right? Melech Bechachma, the king of wisdom. You could say Rosh Bechachma, the head of wisdom. There's all kinds of things that you could call a person that is at the height of Chachma. Okay? The Chazal use the term of Bechachma, father of Chachma. Look on the side now. On the side, if you look on the left side, does everyone see Ois Chaf Hey, of Bechachma? Does everyone see that? Okay. So there's a little note. We're just going to do a bit of it. As Rashi wrote, Al Pasuk in Bereshis. Now that we have a Pasuk in Bereshis referring to Yosef. Vayikru lefanav Avreich. So after Yosef is already the Mishnah Lamelech, he's the second in command. It says that they called out in front of him Avreich. They gave him this title Avreich. So the Gemara says, Darash Rabbi Yehuda darshaned, what does Avreich mean? What does that mean? Avreich ze Yosef. It is Yosef. Why? Shaya av b'chachma. He was a father in Chachma, v'rach b'shanim, and young in years. Av, rach, Avreich. Av, he was a father in wisdom in Chachma, v'rach b'shanim, and he was very, very young. So it usually doesn't go that way. Usually an av b'chachma is going to be an old man. He has wisdom. He's been around for 120 years or 100 years, whatever it is. But that wasn't the case by Yosef. Yosef was a very young person, but he was still an av b'chachma. So that was what that title was. It was, he's so wise but so young. Avreich. So getting back to our point. Why? So it's very interesting that the Chazal, our rabbis, when they wanted to refer to someone with a lot of wisdom, they called him a father of wisdom. So because of this, so that's why, this is why he's explaining why Yud, we said, refers to the sphere of Chachma. And we also call it Abba. Why? Because we have this expression of the Chachma, a father of wisdom. So you see here, it makes sense now to call a Yud, which is a Sfira of Chachma, to call it Abba, based on this expression of B'Chachma. Good? Base. Ois Hey, the second letter of the Shem Havaya. Ois Hey Ilah, she's Sfiras Bina. So this is called Hey Ilah, means the first Hey. Hey Ilah really means in Aramish the higher Hey. So the first Hey of the Shem Havaya, Yud and Hey, that first Hey is called the higher Hey. The second Hey, Vav Hey, is called the lower Hey. So Ois Hey Ilah, the Ois, the letter of Hey Ilah, the higher Hey, she's Sfiras Bina. We said this already, right? The second letter in the Shem Havaya is a Hey, that is connected the Sfira of Bina. What is that called? Nikra Ima. That is called the mother. Kamaimar Akasav, as the pasuk says in Mishlei, it's very interesting. The pasuk doesn't actually say mother. The pasuk says Im Levina Tikra. It's a pasuk that says if you were to call out to Bina, to understanding, that's how the pasuk goes. But again, in the Torah there are no oisius, so he changes Im to Aim. Aim means mother. So because we have a pasuk Im Labina Tikra and Im could be Aim, so it makes sense that Ima should be a nickname of the Sfira Bina, which is the letter Hey, the first Hey. The Elu HaBeis Sfiras, and these two Sfiras, Chachma and Bina, Him Kedugmas Ha'av Ve'Ha'Aim. The Chachma and Bina is like a father and a mother. Hamoilidim es kol hasfiras v'aylamay shetachtehem, who give birth to all the spheres and all the worlds underneath them. So guess what? We have a notion that a father and mother get together and they have children, right? Where does this come from? The root of this is because in Shemayim there's a sphere called Chachma, which is male. And in Shemayim there's a sphere called Bina, which is female. And when those two unite, they have children. And the children are all the spheres and all the oilamas that come out after that, which is Das, Chesed, Bina, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Chod, Yisoid, Malchus. Good? So that's why they're called father and mother, because they give birth. They give birth to children. Okay. Gimel. Ois Vav. The third letter of the Shem Havaya, she spheres Tiferes. Now we said, the Ois Vav is called the sphere of Tiferes, but it represents the 6 spheres that are underneath Bina, which are Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Chod, Yisoid. Even though Tiferes is only one of the 6, but because it's in the middle, it's viewed as all 6 are called Tiferes. They're in the category of Tiferes. What is the Vav? The Vav, which is connected to the sphere of Tiferes, what is that called? Nikra Bara. It's called the sun. And in brackets he writes Zeir Anpin, which means the small face. This is an expression from the Zohar and the Arizal uses a lot. And so Bara is called the sun. So we have a mother, we have a father, and we have a son. And the Aramaic expression or the Kabbalistic expression for bara is Zeir Anpin, which means small face. We'll explain what that means, small, and what it means, face. But right now he's just giving you information. Why? Why is it called this? Kivan she'ashisha ketzavos hem k'moi habanim shenoldu me'ima ilah. So it's called the sun because it represents the 6 spheres underneath Bina, and that's like children. So that's why those 6 are called Zeir Anpin, which are called Bara, which is called the sun, because they're children of the mother, which is the Sfira of Bina. Dalid, Ois Hey Tata, the Ois Hey, the lower Hey, which means the final Hey in the Shem Havaya. She's Sfiras Malchus, represents the Sfira of Malchus. Nikra Barta is called the daughter, and in Aramaic or in the Zohar or in Kisvei Arizal it's called Nukva. That's in brackets. Nukva means the female. Shehirak mekabeles me ha'el yoinois. Nukva by nature means female, and Nukva also means a nekev means a crevice. It means it's a container. So it means it's like an empty container. It does not have any material of its own. It contains everything that everything above it puts into it. And that's why she's called nukva, which means female. So far, so good? If you think about, I think we've said it before, I don't want to be too explicit, but if you think about the male and the female, you will see that the male is considered a space, and the female is considered a opening or a space, and the male is what fills the space. Okay, let's keep going. Nimsa, it comes out, Shashnei oisius yud vav shebeshem hem oisius ha-duchra. It comes out that the oisius of Hashem, yud and vav, so there's 4 oisius, yud k, vav k. The oisius yud and vav are both male. Hamashbim, who give over. Sorry? Oh, Shmuli's here. Great. Sorry? Is it clear? Yud, that's right. So Yud and Vav are considered male, right? And the 2 Heys are considered female. And he's going to say that now. They have base Heyin, we're on page Kuf Samech Hey. And the base Heyin, the 2 Heyin, Shebeshem in the Shemavaya, Heim Oisius HaNukva, those are the Oisius of female, Hamakablim, who accept. So the male, this is always how it is. The male is Mashpia, like in any marriage, it's the husband that usually, classically, historically, it's a husband that goes out and brings home the money. He goes out to work, he brings home the money, and the woman accepts the money and feeds her household, right? So, and that's in that way. And then also, of course, if you think about physically, it's also this way, that the man literally is mashpia, gives over, and the woman accepts. It's also interesting, by the way, even if you look at these oisius, again, I don't want to be too graphic, but you have to say what, I didn't see this anywhere, but it seems it's very clear that the hay is like a box, it's more like the womb. And the yud and the vav is more like the male's aver, let's put it that way. The yud and the vav, right? I don't want to get too graphic, okay? With the male, sometimes it's long and sometimes it's short. And more than this, I don't want to say. Next, we're in Kuf Samech Hey on the second half. There's just 2 more lines on the page. The Seder Tikkun Hadalad Oilam Oishu. The Seder of the Tikkun of the Dalad Oilamas, of the 4 Oilamas, is Lechaber Ilekasher Mikoidem Ha'ois Vav Tata im Ha'ois Ha'ois Hey Tata im Ha'ois Vav Shehem Tiferet im Malchus. Now, what he's going to say, he's saying now a very, very important thing, that we're basically, what we're trying to do in our lifetime is that very unfortunately we are in a state of disconnect. Sometimes the Svarim call this mechitzas. There are partitions, or there are boundaries separating us from Hashem. Now the way this is spoken about in Kisvei Arizal is that the Yud Kei, in order for everything to flow properly, Yud Kei Vav Kei has to be all joined. Okay, now of course, Hashem is one, and there's no separation, of course. However, down here in this world where there is Ra, where there is evil, it is perceived as if Hashem's name is not all connected. And our job, when we do mitzvahs, what we are doing is we are reconnecting the Yud Kei Vav Kei to itself. And in other words, it was separated before, and when it's separated, it's like anything. If there's a pipe separated, right, and you put that water down the pipe, the water is going to start not going through the pipe. It's going to start going on the outside, right? If the pipe is connected properly and you pour down the water, everything will flow properly. So this is, and the reason that the pipe works that way is because of this. This is the root of everything. Yud Kei Vav Kei has to be united together. Let's just think about it up and down, okay? So we'll think of our world down here is closest to the final Hey, which is next above is the Vav, next above is the next Hey, and next above is the Yud. And Hashem is all the way up there above the Yud. So when Hashem wants to send Hashpa'ah down to us, He sends it through the Yud to the first Hey, then to the Vav, and to the final Hey, and then it gets to us. Now, So what he's saying over here is, he's saying the way that the four oilamos join, and the way that everything in Ruchnius joins is that the first thing we have to do is we have to connect the bottom hay of Shem Havaya to the Vav. That's the first connection we have to make, which is the connection of Malchus to Tiferes. Second line, at the last word, Shelo yeh behem pirud, so there should not be any separation between them. V'achakach, so now, let's say we've joined the hay to the Vav, now we got to go the next step. V'achakach, lechabreim im ha'ois hay ilah. Now we have to take that hay and that Vav, which are already joined, and join them to the next hay. Haini, that means to say, lechaber ha'oisius vav hay, we have to attach the oisius vav and hay, le'oisius yud hay. We have to, and then once we've done that, we've attached the whole Shem Havaya together, kaviyachol, and all the flow, all the Ruchnius will flow through. Ruchnius, Gashmius, everything Hashem has to offer will flow through properly, like a properly connected pipe. So what about how do we connect the yud and the hay? We spoke about the final hay, the vav, and the next hay. What about the next hay to the yud? No. Aval ha'ois is yud hay, the first two. Shem chachmu bina ein srichim lechaber. We don't have to join them. Ki heim mechubarim tadir. They are constantly together. Kitrein rein deloy misfarshin. So he uses an expression from the Zohar, like two friends that are never separated. So we don't have to attach the yud and the hay. We just have to attach the hay to the vav to the next hay. But the yud and the hay we don't have to attach. They're always together. From here we can understand a little bit. Now he's going to say things that will make your payah stand up. Listen to this. Now we can understand a little bit. We can understand a little bit of the holy avoida of Yaakov Avinu. Bechira avos. Now, I couldn't say that expression, but the Chazal say that we have three avos: Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And who's the Bechir Sheba avos? I hate to say it like this. Bechir means the choicest. Who's the best one? We couldn't say it, but the Chazal say it. They say it was Yaakov Avinu. Why? Because Avram Avinu is total chesed, and Yitzchak Avinu is total din, judgments, and you need a balance. So Yaakov Avinu is that middle balance, and literally you have chesed as Avram is on the right, the sphere of chesed, that's Avram, and the sphere of din or mishpat is the sphere of chesed gvura is on the left, and right in the middle is Tiferes is connected Yaakov Avinu. Bechira avos, he's the chosen of the avos. Keshenasa es Rachel v'Leah. Listen to this. This is what was going on. This was his avodah when he married Rachel v'Leah. Now, I got to give a very quick introduction. You should know that anything that it says in Chumash, it happened. There was somebody, Yaakov Avinu, of course, and there was someone Rachel, and there was someone Leah, and he did marry both of them. And there was a loved one that did give Leah before Rachel. All these things really happened, but what we need to understand is, yes, they happened in a physical way, but they meant very, very, very big spiritual things when these things were happening. He's going to explain now. Listen to this. Tehine. Leah v'Rachel ramzim al shnei olamais bina imalchus. Okay, listen to this. Leah represents bina. Rachel represents Malchus. Leah he Sfiras Bina. Leah is the Sfira of Bina. Shesham Meir Ois Hei Ilah. So in the Sfira of Bina is shining the Ois Hei Ilah. The first Hei of Hashem's name. V'nikreis Eim Habanim. And we said already, and that Sfira of Bina is called Eim Habanim, the mother of the children. Shemimena yoitzim shisha banim, because from her come out the 6 children. Chesed gvura tiferes netzach hod yisoid. Shemimena yoitzim shisha banim hema shisha ketzavois. These are the 6 directions. When he says 6 directions, he tells you what he means. Is Chagas, Nehi, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod Yisoid, Hanikroim Bonim, who are called children, Lefi Shehem Mashpiim, because those 6 are mashbiya down into Malchus. Ubas Achas. Listen to this. Leah had 7 children. That's what the Chumash says. She had 6 boys and 1 girl. It's true, and she did. It's true. But why did she? The reason she did was because in Shemayim, there's Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod Yisoid. Those are the roots of Leah's 6 sons, and then she had Dina, Ubas Achas, and 1 daughter. On the next page, Kuf Samach Zayin, Ubas Achas, and she had 1 daughter. He Malchus. This represents Malchus. She Mekabeles, who accepts. The Kamoy Chein, Haisala Leah Shisha Banim, and according to this, Leah had 6 sons, Ibas Achas, and 1 daughter. Ishma, what was the name of that 1 daughter? Dina. Her name was Dina. Why was her name Dina? Haremezes lemalchus, because Dina is a hint to Malchus. Why? Uramuza be'omram Dina de Malchusa Dina. We have Gemuras that explain a halachic concept. The halachic concept is that, as a general rule, if you live in Canada, you have to follow the rules of Canada. Okay, that's a general rule. So whatever that means, the laws of Canada, as long as they don't interfere with the laws of Judaism, you have, the Gemara says, the citizens of a country must follow the laws of that country. And the way the Gemara expresses that is Dina de Malchusa, Dina, which means the law of the land is the law. That's what it means. But from this expression, you see that Malchus, Dina de Malchusa Dina, means the sphere of Malchus is all dinim, it's judgments, or it's female, or it doesn't give over, it accepts. That's the nature of female, to accept. So that's why her name was Dina, because she meant Malchus. She was the physical representation of the sphere of Malchus. Now he goes on. Rachel,
It says on the side here.
Where does it say? Show me.
Dina hu oisias adni.
Where are you looking? Which number?
The right side. Dina.
Right side, Dina de Malchusa Dina?
Yeah, but
Not there. Oh, Dina, down there.
Dina hu oisias adni. See that?
Very interesting.
The Ima Dalet Oisias Gematria Dina with a head, which is her name.
Amazing. Let me read that again. The Tevas. Okay, I just want to make clear where we're looking. We're in Chaf Tes on the right side, halfway through. It says Dina de Malchusa Dina, Ki b'Malchus Shoyan Hadinim. So in the dinim are in the sphere of Malchus. The Tevas Dina, the word Dina, he oisius adna. So this is what Shmuley just found over here. We're going to see, and there's diagrams in the back. I don't want to flip to the back now, but every single sphere has a certain name of Hashem that is connected that sphere. So, for instance, well, he gives one. For instance, Malchus is Adna. That is the Shem of Hashem that's connected Malchus. Actually, Tiferes is Yud Kei Vav Kei. That's the Shem. And each one of these 10, you'll see there's a chart in the back. Each one of these 10 is connected a certain Shem of Hashem. So he's saying, so Shmuley found a very good comment that Dina is actually the oasis of Adna, which is the Shem that is connected Malchus. Hashem shall Siviras Malchus, Kamavur Lahalan, like we're going to explain soon, Kahagdama Yotes, Vima Dalet Oisius, and if you'll add, now this is a technique of the Arizal. The Arizal had many different ways to do gematria. So the simple way is numerical value, but sometimes you can also do numerical value plus you add the number of letters in the word. So that's what he says. So the gematria of Dina plus 4, because Dina is 4 letters, Adna is 4 letters, comes out gematria of Dina. Adna plus 4 comes out to Dina. Very good. Excellent. Okay. Where was I? Okay. So now we're gonna we're on Kuf Samach Zayin, second paragraph. Rachel, he's Sfiras Malchus. She's a Sfira Malchus. Shesham Meir Ois Hei Tata. In the sphere of Malchus shines the ois, the letter of Hey, the lower Hey, which means the last Hey in Shem, Yud Kei Vav Kei. Just like the sphere of Malchus is the bottom one of all the 10, and after Malchus there's nothing. Malchus is the last one, it's number 10. There's nothing after Malchus. Chein, so too, Nikras Rachel Akara. You hear this? In Chumash, the Chumash calls Rachel an Akara. That means someone who cannot have children. You know why? Because there's nothing below Malchus. Because Bina or Ima or the first Hay has children, right? She has 7 children. But Malchus doesn't have children because there's nothing underneath Malchus. So that's why the Chumash calls Rachel Akara. She cannot have children. She'ein la banim. She has no children. And on this secret, Nemar, it says in Yirmiyah, Rachel mevakeh al baneha. It says, Rachel cries on her children, the goyim, etc. Ki einenu, because she has no children. You hear what's going on? In Tanakh, we view Rachel as someone who's crying for Klal Yisrael, her children. But according to Panemius, Rachel is crying because she has no children, because there's nothing underneath her. The Yaakov Avinu, he was the chariot of the Sfira of Tiferes. He's connected Tiferes. Shehu or ha'ois vav shel Hashem Havaya, which is the ois vav Hashem Havaya. Hanikra amuda d'emtzeisa. This the Sfira of Malchus, or Yaakov Avinu, is called the central pillar. Amuda means the pillar. The emtzeisa is again Aramaic, the pillar in the middle. Ha'oimed, turn the page. Ben Shnei Ahayin. He says like this. He says that Vav is like a pillar in the middle. Why? Because it's between the 2 Hays. There's the first Hay of Shem Havai and there's the last Hay. And in between is the Vav. And the Vav is connected Yaakov Avinu. And so we refer to Yaakov Avinu as the middle, the center pillar. Val Yedei Yechidoi Imahen Asa Yichid Shal Shnei Hayin Shal Hashem Havaya Burichi Ad Shenasa Hashem Shalem V'Dalid Oisius. Do you hear what's going on? Yaakov Avinu had to marry 2 sisters because in order to join the Hay, the first Hay and the second Hay, he had to be in the middle, and he had to have 2 wives. So he had to marry those 2 sisters. In other words, we hear these stories in Chumash from when we're 3 years old. So it sounds like a story. Yaakov Avinu, he fell in love with her. He fell in love with Rachel, and then Lavan cheated him, and he gave him Leah. But really, this had to happen because he represented the Vav, and they represented the 2 Hays. And if he wouldn't have married them, he wouldn't have been able to connect everything together.
So the Hays are what? Bina and
Hays are Bina Malchus, but the Hays represent Rachel. Bina represents Leah. And Malchus represents Rachel.
So why do they need to come together then?
Because we just said Yud Kei Vav Kei can only, the flow of Hashem from up there to down here can only come together if Yud and Hey and Vav and Hey are totally connected. So he had to marry these 2 sisters to make the connection. Let's keep going. In Mishum Shesfiras Bina Nikris Alma Diskasya. Now we said that there are code words for the different spheres. The code word for the sphere of Bina is called Alma Diskasya, the world of hiddenness. Why? Because Bina is so high up there we can't understand it. It's a hidden world. That's what we said before. So Mishum Sfiras Bina, Mishum Sfiras Bina Nikra Alma Diskasya, because the Sfiras Bina is called the hidden world, as we said before, Hayatzarach Liois Lekichas Leah, Sheshorsha Misham, Gam came ba'ofen kazeh shelo yada Yaakov ad haboiker shi Leah. Do you hear what's going on? He couldn't. It had to be this way. That Yaakov did not know who he was marrying, and he only figured it out in the morning when there was light in the room. But at night he didn't know. Why? Because Bina is called Alma Diskasya, the hidden world. Why is it hidden world? Because Bina is so high up there we have no understanding. It's hidden. This is why Dafka, he had to marry Leah in a hidden way. And he never knew that he was with Leah when he was with Leah. He thought it was Rachel. Chein, and therefore, Sibev Hashem Yisbarach, Hashem worked it out. Shelo yada Yaakov ad haboiker shehi Leah. That Yaakov Avinu wouldn't know until the morning that she is Leah. Kamoy shekasev, like it says in Bereshis. Vayhi baboiker, and it was in the morning. V'hine hi Leah, and whoa, it's Leah. Whoa. Okay, next. Chein, therefore, kasher nasas Rachel. So therefore, when he married Rachel, kfar yada meant then there was no mistake. By Rachel, he knew he was married. The first one he made a mistake. Rachel, he knew this is Rachel. He knew that. Why? Because Rachel is Sfiras Malchus. Because Rachel is Sfiras Malchus. Hanikas Alma Disgalia. Malchus is called the revealed world. Because we're in Malchus. This is where we are. This is our connection. Malchus is a Shechina. How we're connected to Hashem is through the part of Hashem. Again, Hashem is only one. But in this world where we have confusion and hiddenness, it seems like with us is a Shechina, and Kutcha Brichu is somewhere up there. That's how it seems. It's not really true, but it seems that way. So Malchus is the Shechina is with us. And that's what we relate to, and that's what we can grab onto. And that's why Rachel, so that's why when he married Rachel, he knew it was Rachel. Because she represents Malchus, and Malchus is a revealed world, not the hidden world. V'zehatam, and this is the reason. She'ikr dirasei shel Yaakov hayadaika ba'oil Rachel. Listen to this. It says in Chazal that the way it worked when you would marry two women, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. Of course we understand that in Klal Yisrael it used to be that you could marry more than one wife. We all know this, right? There was a Chein Rabbeinu Gershon for the Ashkenazim that he saw Rabbeinu Gershon actually had two wives, and he saw this is not the way to go. And he made Chein Rabbeinu Gershon that for 1,000 years that no one's allowed to marry more than one wife. I'm changing it. I'm limiting it. Right? The Sephardim were never makabel that. This was only in the Ashkenazic countries. So guess what? The Sephardim and the Arabs are also like this, kaviyachol, right? And many other nations that you're allowed to marry more than one wife. It's not really a problem. I'll just tell you historically they had a problem because when they rescued all the Yidden from Taman, okay, in Taman they were still had more than one wife. You could have. I met somebody from Taman, and I asked him. So he told me he only had one. But I asked him, what's the most that you know from your buddies? How many do they have? So he says, I know someone in Taman who has four wives. Now, just historically, I don't want to get too much off topic. The state of Israel had a big problem because the state of Israel rescued these Yidden from Taman were in very big danger. There's a whole thing many years ago. They put them all on a plane. There's pictures of them on. They took the seats off the plane. They stuffed them on a plane, and they brought these Yidden to Eretz Yisrael. Now they had a big problem. Now what are you going to do now? The law in Israel is you can only have one wife. So what? So you bring them here to Eretz Yisrael. What are you going to make them do? Divorce their wives? How does that work? So they made a compromise. The compromise was, if you are from Taman, you may continue to have four wives. But here's the catch. They have to be in 4 different apartments. You can't have them all together. So it wasn't till now, it's great, 4 wives. Now it's like, 4 wives. You know, you have to rent 4 apartments, right? It's not so simple.
You see, Rachel and Leah had different.
That's exactly where I was going. That's exactly where I was going. So you see that in Chumash, there was Rachel had her tent. This is a tznius thing, right? This is a modesty thing. Rachel had her tent and Leah had her tent. It says in Chazal that Yaakov Avinu basically lived in the tent of Rachel much more than in Leah. Okay, it's a fact. Now you'll say, of course, because that's the one. The whole Chumash is talking like this. That who's the one that Yaakov, whatever this means, who's the one that Yaakov really, really had the strongest feelings for? Was Rachel, right? So it makes sense that he would hang out more by Rachel than by Leah, right? Listen to this. This is the reason that the main dwelling of Yaakov Avinu, Haisa, Daika, was specifically Ba'oil Rachel, was in the tent of Rachel. Why? Ki yichid Yaakov v'Rachel hi avoida hachitzonius. The yichid, listen to this. Bless you. Bless you. There's 2 kinds of avoidas, okay? There's the more outwardly avoida, and then there's the inwardly avoida, which means to say like this. I'll make it very simple. We all have to put on tefillin every day. That is the outward avoida of tefillin. You got to put them on physically, right? The inner avoida of tefillin is, what do you think about when you put them on? What are your kavanas when you make the bracha? What are your kavanas when you're wearing them? So there's an element, a physical element to the mitzvahs, and then there's a thought element, or a more the whole thing is spiritual, but there's a more spiritual element to the mitzvahs. Okay. Now, what if you'll ask me if you only could do one or the other? Let's say it's not that way, Baruch Hashem. But if you can only do one or the other, what takes precedence? The physical mitzvah or the thought of the mitzvah? What's the answer? The physical mitzvah. Because that's the base of the whole mitzvah. That's the mitzvah. So the main avoida, listen to this. The main avoida of ours is a chitzoniistic avoida, even though it doesn't sound good. But it means our main avoida is to do the mitzvahs, doing. Once we're doing, the ultimate is to do it with adding a lot of kavanah, a lot of thought, a lot of spirituality, a lot of ruchnias, etc., 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 etc. So listen to what he says here. This is the reason. Sheker dirasai shel Yaakov, the main dwelling of Yaakov, Haisa Daika Boil Rachel, was in the tent of Rachel. Ki yichid Yaakov v'Rachel, the joining of Yaakov and Rachel. He ha'avoida hachitzonius. This is a remez to the outwardly avoida, or the more physical avoida. Haini she asiyas peulois beizgalia she havoida harishoina veikris. It's doing the deeds openly, which means putting on the tefillin, not what you think about during tefillin, putting on the tefillin. She avoida harishoina, this is the first avoida, the ikaris, and the main avoida. Shayedei zeh miyached, through this avoida of chitzonius, you are miyached, you bring together, umechaber, you join, eshnei oisias vav and hey. Okay, so you have, again, if you're going from upper to lower, you have yud and hey and vav and hey. So the first step in any mitzvah is to join the final hey to the vav, and you do that by doing the physical mitzvah. V'zesh amar Yaakov leLavan, and this is what Yaakov said to Lavan: Haloi berachel avarati imach. Didn't I work for you for? This is when he said he tricked him. He tricked him. I worked for you for Rachel, and you gave me Leah. He says, "Haloi berachel avarati imach." Didn't I work for you for Rachel? What is it? What does that mean? Shekol ikar avoidasoi. What does it mean? Work. It doesn't mean work. It means avoida. It means avoida. It means shekol ikar avoidasoi. How do you say avoida in how do you say avoida in English? In this sense, sorry. Service. Thank you. Divine service. Thank you. Shekol ikar avoidasoi. His main service, divine service. Be'eli hashanim. during these 7 years, Hayel Hasiges Rachel was in order to get Rachel, Shehi Bechinas Heitata, which is the Bechina of the lower Hay, Iliyachda Ima, and to join with her, She Bechinas Ois Vav, and that's the Bechina of Ois Vav, to join with the Ois Hay. The Ois Hey, and after the Vav joins down to the Ois Hey, Shehi Havoida Hachitzonius B'maisa, which is the outwardly avoida Lamaisa, like putting on tefillin physically. Maschila Havoida Shnia. Then once you've done the more physical part of the mitzvah, Maschila ha'avoida sheniya, then the second avoida, the second service begins. Lehaloi shtei oisias halalu, to uplift these two oisias of Hey and Vav, the Sviras Bina, to the Svira of Bina, which means to say, to uplift the Svira of Malchus and the 6 above it, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and join them to the higher Svira of Bina. Lahaloi shtei oisias halalu, to bring up these two oisias, Hey and Vav, the Sviras Bina, to the Svira Bina, Shehi Ois Hey Ilah, which is the higher Ois Hey, the Hainu Avoidas Penimius. This is the inner avoida, the inner, what was what we said? Service, thank you. B'machshava, in your mind. Ubazen nasa shleimus dadul oisis Hashem havaya. And when you do this, so when you're putting on tefillin, the physical action is attaching the Hey, the lower Hey, to the Vav. And now you add in Mariv, and now you add in your machshava. So now you're adding the Hey and the Vav to the upper Hey, and the upper Hey is always connected to the Yud. So now you have Yud K Vav K, and you've made a full Yud K Vav K, and now all the Hashpah will come down, and this is the same that happens in every single mitzvah, and every single davening, and every avodah.
So it starts with the physical action.
Physical action, and you must add the mind action. That's right.
Interesting.
That's right. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, it's very important today as Yat Kislev to learn Chassidus Svarim, and especially the Sefer HaTanya, no question.